Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my special guest host tonight is Ron. And
what?
I just figured it'd be good to have somebody here that could hold my hand through all this tonight. So, but we're going to be visiting with Sean and Cortney from Hill City Paranormal. And part of the reason that I wanted Ron here was because we are a little bit unusual, I feel like. Married couples or couples that live together in the paranormal, and I want to know more about that dynamic. You know, who knows? Is there something that draws us together? But I mean, we know so many people out there whose spouse or significant other isn't even interested.
Susan and Mike.
Yep, Susan and Mike. They're in the paranormal too together. But there's so many that aren't, you know, like my friend Kat. Both my friends' cats. Neither one of them spouses are even interested in the paranormal. So, you know, what is it? Why? So I'd like to welcome Sean and Cortney to the Paranormal Pride.
Hey guys.
Howdy.
Howdy ho.
Hello.
So when you guys got together, did you know that you both were interested in the paranormal?
No. Oh, well, I mean, it really, yeah. I mean, yes and no.
Not to this extent.
Yeah.
Like,
this is like a different.
We were actually just talking about it the other night. We used to have discussions like, there's a place down here where we frequent that's near like some railroad tracks and the river. And we used to go out there and just talk like all to the, hey, Michael, all to the, you know, wee hours of the morning. When you first start dating, you can stay up all night chatting with that person. Right. But we used to talk about things like other dimensions, extraterrestrial, you know, spirits and things like that. But we didn't really ever get into, you know, are you a paranormal investigator? Do you want to go investigate? Things like that. So I think we were together for a few years before we actually like said something to each other about.
I can't really put a timeline.
Yeah,
on
it's kind of hard.
It just kind of happened as far as investigating together. I did it before Courtney and I were dating. And it was like I don't know. It was almost like hey, Courtney, let's go ghost hunting, kind of thing, more than anything. And I know in the paranormal world, everybody gets wrapped up with terminology. And I mean, I don't care. I don't give a shit. It's really. I'm sorry, my language, but it's really. Okay. It's really one of those things. Ghost hunting, paranormal investigator, whatever you want to call it. It's essentially the same thing. I mean, you can break it down to a scientist with wording, but we just kind of we did it because we were looking for things to do at the time. But on this level, where there's podcasts and there's all these teams that you're interacting with, we weren't on that level till recently. It's part of me sometimes wishes we stayed, you know, in the closet with paranormal investigating, but other times. I'm happy with
it's dark in the closet and scary.
It is dark and scary. But other times I'm glad because we met so many great people with coming out of the closet with paranormal.
We didn't know there was a network.
Yeah, we had no idea.
That's the biggest thing. Like we just thought we were weirdos, like that are into, you know, frequenting cemeteries and, you know, trying to communicate with dead people. Like then, you know, to find out that there's a whole network of weirdos too, we were like, hallelujah, you know, and we met some excellent people. I mean, we've met you and Ron, we've met multiple teams. I mean, it would take me an hour to list them all, going through podcasts, hopping on public investigations when we go on vacation. You know, that was a big thing. I mean, when we go on vacation, we always try to hop on somebody's public investigation as like a support factor. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, teams are out here hustling too. You know, they've got a location and they depend on the public to be able to either maintain structural safety, preserve history, whatever the case may be. So we always try to, jump on somebody's public. And just in doing so, we've made some excellent connections, I would say.
I would say so.
And my dogs are just wilding out right now. So if you see them distracted, oh my God. They call them the tag team champions for a reason. But yeah, as far as, actually finding out, like I said, that there is a network and there's locations. I know they're called pay to play and things like that. But, when we met, we were in our 20s. And it's like we would do more urban exploration, which we
broke in a place.
Yeah, which we
were the outlaws
as adults don't promote.
I got it tattooed on my arm somewhere. Outlaw.
Yeah,
that's what we did.
Hey, Howie. Yeah, we don't promote breaking into abandoned buildings, but what we did in our early 20s and mid 20s is a whole nother situation. We thought that's how you were supposed to do it. We didn't know there were locations that actually offered paranormal teams to come in. So upon doing this, fast forwarding to last year, we were sitting down having a discussion with some friends of ours, and it turned out that we shared a common interest. And they were like, oh my God, I've always wanted to be a part of a team. And we kind of were like, let's start one. And then it grew from there. One of our team members we actually met, it's not a secret. Sean's a lead singer in a band and a Nashville recording artist. He had a show, and there was a fan that was there, and I cannot even remember how we got onto the subject of paranormal in the middle of a bar while drinking. I don't know.
Oh, I know how that happens.
But, girls are always real friendly with other girls, right? So it was just like, hey, this is what I'm into, blah, blah, blah. So she was like, well, hey, I work at a cemetery. Like, you guys can come in whenever. And we were like, oh, awesome. So we didn't think anything of it, exchanged numbers. A couple months went by. Sean says, why don't you hit her up and see if we can get into the cemetery, like at night? And I was like, oh, that would be fun. And then she ended up becoming a team member. So, just in talking to people, there's a lot more people out there that are interested in the paranormal world, but are too afraid to come forward because of the judgment that's passed by society. And that's one of my biggest concerns there. We are not wackos. Not all of us are conjuring demons in these locations. So if anybody has that in their head, that's what paranormal investigators do, is show up with Ouija boards and pentagrams and salt circles and different colored
candles. She says that as we have a Ouija board sitting right here.
I love
For the record, it's a rug, people. It's a rug.
Yes, this is a rug.
People say we contradict that stuff all the time, but I want public to say it's a rug that we hung up on the wall. It's decor.
But to be honest,
there's no planchette to go with that, right?
Actually, there is one.
Wait.
Hold on, wait.
There you go.
I forgot the camera's back.
Oh, okay.
But it's screwed on there. It doesn't move. And that's actually a refrigerator magnet.
Is a magnet. But I have a planchette tattooed on my arm. I am fascinated with a Ouija board.
I got one on my hand.
But I have never used one on an investigation, not even one time. As a matter of fact, the last time I used a Ouija board,
I think I was like
at
12.
A sleepover.
I was like 12 or 13.
Like in middle school or something. And we weren't even serious about it. We were just like, the movie The Craft came out. I'm telling my age now. The movie The Craft came out, and all of a sudden me and my friends were witches, So
oh my God. Yeah, it means we're about the ages of our kids.
Well, for the record, you don't look old enough to have children my age.
Yep. So, because I remember watching The Craft with our kids.
Was it a movie or a show?
It's a movie.
Okay.
And they've already done.
Yeah,
it did turn into a show.
Well, growing up, I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
No, they turn everything into a show now. Every movie turns into a show.
Yeah. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I remember when that first came out.
Mhm.
I love the movie. Wasn't a fan of the show.
Yeah. I have to say I agree.
It all started with like Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah, but Sabrina's gone like 3 or 4 different iterations at this point.
Yeah.
So, and I've seen all of them. We had a cat named Salem.
There you go.
So,
Yeah,
been there, done that.
Tom said, I hope your arm doesn't start moving around your place on its own. I'm going to tell you what, Tom, if my arm starts moving around my place, I'm going to cut it off
It
personally.
does from time to time, you know. Yeah, the couple thing, you know, investigating, it's kind of weird because we have very different investigative styles, very different beliefs, very different techniques. She loves, for example, I always bring it up, she loves a REM pod. I hate a REM pod. I don't hate it, but I'm just not a big REM pod
go-to.
It's my last go-to. Right. It's the first thing I set up, and it's my last thing I believe when it goes off. Right. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I could sit here all day to explain it. So to shorten that up, it's because it's the easiest thing to debunk in an investigation when it goes off. So that's why I'm not a huge fan. A lot of people love it, and you know, I don't say anybody's wrong when they think it's paranormal, because you know, at the end of the day, every piece of equipment we use can be debunked. But the REM pod is just the easiest thing to manipulate, and it's the easiest thing that can be debunked. However, I do use them. I still use it. So
I will say though, Sean and I are learning how to take some time each investigation and investigate together.
It doesn't work.
You know, it's been working lately. But
well, we always do this.
Yes, that's what we do. So
we need paranormal therapy. We need to see a therapist.
If I am just not in the right like mindset to investigate, I will join Sean and just kind of sit back in silence, almost like
she watches and learns.
Watches. Okay. All right. So you make all the public think that we're just assholes.
I'm completely
to each
joking.
other.
We get along in every other aspect of life except paranormal.
You know, we're not assholes. We just, like Sean said, we have different investigative styles. So we break off into teams, but that's the beauty of having a team, in my opinion. Like, we have almost everybody on our team has a different aspect that they bring to the team. And that's what makes it like a good fit. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody brings something different to the table. If we all brought the same thing to the table, that would be boring as hell. Like, we would be like, whatever. So, you know, we always know, you know, his daughter is on our team. She's about to be 16 in October. Her and I investigate together. So we will take off and go do our own thing. And a lot of the time is just us two, you know, and then we've got Chuck and Carrie on our team that they will break off. They're a married couple as well on our team, and they actually investigate well together, and that's their thing. So, you know, they'll take off together. And then we have a team member named Chad and a team member named Rhonda, and then Sean. Chad, Rhonda, and Sean all like to investigate together. So, but Chad comes from the extraterrestrial realm. So he brings some hypersensitivity to the team, which is kind of neat. He also has a police background. So he brings different types of equipment. Like, what was that thing he was using that private investigators use?
I forgot what it's called.
It's like a super hypersensitive, like microphone thing with a big dish on it. I don't know what it's called.
Hyperbolic.
Yeah.
Hyperbolic mic. Yes. Yeah. So like he'll bring that out, and you know, that's his thing. Like he pops into police mode is what we call it. And he starts really going into detective mindset. You know, Sean's more scientific. I'm more of, by definition, a ghost hunter. I like to go parabolic mic. Yes, Michael, thank you. I like to go into locations that I'm not 100% sure are haunted and try to find out if they're haunted, you know, and try to like really figure out, is there even a spirit here? Which is where my ghost hunting comes in. You know, Sean also enjoys doing that, but I think you're more of the scientist in our group. Like if there's a piece of equipment that goes off, why is it going off? You know, he's running around to electrical panels, cutting off, you know, power to the house, like whatever the case may be. So, you know, we all bring a different thing. But like I said, you know, if I am not in a right mindset, or I'm tired, or, you know, I've got ADHD, so I get bored very easy. If I'm in a location and I'm just not getting any activity, I will go and join his group and just kind of sit back and see, what are you guys getting, type deal. And then if I, you know, need to put in my input or have a question I want to ask to the spirit that they're communicating with, I will. But as far as investigating together, that is one thing that, even though we are a couple, we go our separate ways in a location. So but
we don't know why.
We don't plan it that way. It just happens.
Yeah, he ends up with some random women. All the time.
Rohan.
It's just all of them, and they all want to go with him. And he'll tell him, Denise sees spirits. They don't want to go with me. They want to go with him. I guess maybe they want to get him alone in a dark room.
You don't say anything till 6 months after.
That's bullshit. You know
you've gotten a lot better.
He still doesn't understand that when I was growing up, I was told not to tell people I saw shit. So it takes a long time. But yeah, we were married 11 years before he knew for sure that I was seeing spirits and not just telling him crap.
Does any of our team use dowsing rods?
With the dowsing rods, I personally don't use it because I drank way too much caffeine. I don't drink as much as I used to because of heart issues, but I don't use them. Cortney doesn't really use them. Every now and then, like when the equipment's not doing anything, I might sit down and use them. We use them more on public, but on public locations. I'm not 100% convinced of the dowsing rods theory, just because, and the reason why I say that, and this is just my theory. A lot of people can argue and debate about it, and we can do that. I don't have, you know. But my theory is that they were, you know, created and designed to find water. Any location you're at that has water, that's where it's going to manipulate the rods differently. That's just my theory. A lot of people have seen them work and have used them, and they've done amazing things. And I've seen videos where they possibly could have done amazing things. It's just too many other factors with dowsing rods that could lead to false things. However, you guys have probably seen some amazing things. The people in the comments have probably seen different. I've seen some cool stuff with them. But in my opinion, it's just the dowsing rods. It's something about somebody else holding some rods and they're turning when you ask questions.
I want to tell you a secret. Every electric company, every telecommunications company has somebody that uses them to locate their lines.
Yep. You can use it for that too.
Everyone.
I mean, I've just seen too many other factors involved with dowsing rods. I'm not against them. Now,
I'm not saying for spirit use. I'm saying
the key to it is if you're looking for electric, you need to let them know you're looking for electric.
Right.
That's or if you're looking for an unmarked grave, it'll find just those.
Yeah. So I'm not against
this because I know we pay people for that at the company I work for.
I'm not against them. I'm not against them.
Yeah, we don't use them everywhere we go. It's just you get to these really old locations and it seems to have a little better results. Because you know, spirits 200 years old they're not used to a spirit box or anything electric. You know, they don't know.
You can say touch the red light and they're going to be looking at that and going, I ain't touching that. That's a flame.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we've experienced that directly.
We have.
You know, on a location. I personally don't use dowsing rods because like Chris said in the comments, I am way too shaky of a person. I don't trust myself. I've physically watched myself. I've tried, and I try to keep a steady hand and I keep my elbows down, and I like to sit in a chair similar to like a computer chair where I can rest my elbows to kind of steady a little bit more. But it doesn't always work for me. Like I see myself almost like I psych myself out using dowsing rods. Like I need to stay still. So like in my mind, it just automatically like my hands get to moving. So I just don't personally use them. Now his daughter has had excellent results communicating with what we believe was a teenage slave girl on a plantation.
I remember that.
And everybody was sitting around watching her. There were several people using dowsing rods on that investigation. That was with Fredericksburg Paranormal at the Belle Grove plantation at Port Conway. And she was over in the corner, and she's a little on the shy side. So she was kind of asking questions to herself in her own little realm, over in the corner. And out of the corner of my eye, I witnessed her set her intentions. And then, thank you, Rhonda. Yes, Rhonda was there. I witnessed her set her intentions, and she was getting intelligent responses.
Oh, yeah.
So, now Rhonda's another one that I've seen that does phenomenal job with dowsing rods. Her and Shonda on Fredericksburg Paranormal. I envy people that can use dowsing rods and have that steady hand and that mindset to be able to like center yourself. Now, when it comes to like the spirit box, that was actually my least favorite piece of equipment at the beginning of 2024. And so I set a New Year's resolution for myself to utilize a new piece of equipment each time I investigated, because as Sean said, I love my REM pod. So I would literally go out with nothing but my REM pod and a K2 and my phone, And so for my New Year's resolution, I said, I'm going to start using, we spend thousands of dollars on equipment. Let's go ahead and learn how to use this other stuff. So, I've dabbled in almost every piece of your equipment now. I don't really get into a lot of the technological stuff. Like I don't know how to set up the SLS. Like if you ask me to go put it together, that's a foreign object. You want to hand it to me, I know how to work it, but I don't know how to turn it on and set it and get the program up and all that stuff. But I got really good at using the spirit box this year. And at first I hated it. I absolutely hated it. The white noise drove me insane. I could not concentrate, just all this shut up. So I would never do it. And so his daughter was actually dubbed our spirit box operator on our team because she is phenomenal with it. If a word comes across, she can get it right then and there. And I'm going, how do you do that? So I practice and practice and practice. And now I am the first one to volunteer for an Estes method. I will pull out the spirit box quick. It's really just like with the dowsing rods, it's all about centering yourself and really like putting yourself, almost like taking yourself out of like the worldly realm to be able to concentrate on what's going on around you. And with that being said, I think that's important for all paranormal teams to be able to have that ability, because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing, is communicating with the spirit realm, right? So if we are going in with an ADHD mindset, you're sitting at an investigation and you're going, shit, I forgot to put my laundry in the dryer. Did I start the dishwasher? Did I cut off all the lights in the house? Like, these are the things that are going through your mind, as opposed to you not like concentrating on the investigation itself. So I think, with dowsing rods and spirit boxes and all paranormal equipment, really, to be honest with you, you need to kind of really clear your mind and center your body. So
you have to do that before in my case, I have to do that a couple days before.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
That makes sense.
Well, I have spirits that come and tell me what we're going, if we're going to have any spirit activity in a location. I always know beforehand.
She'll have visits.
Yeah.
Well, can we borrow you so that we're not like paying
Don't wasting your time? So, but it's neat, we've had times where where we would say, we're going to go do this. We've got it planned, and I won't plan anything. Honestly, I won't plan anything. And he'll go, "Why are you not planning anything?" I said, "I don't know." And something happens to where we can't go.
Wow.
And I mean, things like one time I was just sick. And I didn't know 4 days before, when I was trying to get everything ready to go, to not get it ready to go. I just didn't. And I was sick as hell when the time came. So, I mean, in the hospital one time, another time one of the kids was sick, I know if we're going or not. Probably 3 or 4 days before we don't go, I know we're not going.
Right.
It's sad.
See, and I'm on the back end of that. Like, I need several days to recover after an investigation, whether it's a 3-hour investigation or an overnight, it doesn't matter. I need time, like mentally putting yourself, in the location and placing yourself in the spirit's shoes, so to speak. That takes a lot, that drains energy. Like, just physical energy, mental energy, like not even physical. Like, I'm awake, I'll wake up at a normal time, the next day I'm up 8 a.m., ready to cook breakfast, but I just don't want to do shit the next day.
Right.
Like, nothing. And for several days, to be honest with you, I don't want to answer my phone. I don't want to talk to people. If somebody's messaging me, I'll put this out there publicly. I'm sorry. I'm probably purposely ignoring my phone the day after an investigation, just because I'm exhausted.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's riding in a car. Not driving. Driving, I'm fine. But if I'm riding in the car for any length of time, it takes me 2 or 3 days to recover from that. I'm just tired from it. So that means if the investigation we went on was more than a 2-hour drive, I'm probably tired.
And you start 3 to 4 days prior. So I can only imagine. That's crazy.
So, I just hope that we get to do all the things that we planned this year. I think a lot of the things we plan to do, I'm doing regardless of if I don't get anything.
Right.
And I want to go.
That's another topic that I'm glad you brought up, because there's been a couple locations that we've actually been told by other teams, don't investigate, it's bullshit. Like, it's not haunted. I'm not supporting this location because of A, B, C, and D, whatever the case may be. We are the type of team that we need to find that out ourselves. You can tell us all day long not to go to this investigation, or, the owners are pocketing your money and not, worried about the historical preservation, or, the what is the word I'm looking for? I almost said venue owner, because I'm in a music state of mind right now. Sean was in the recording studio yesterday, so I'm kind of in a music state of mind. But the owner of the location, is BS. He's faking everything, whatever. I want to go and find this out myself, especially if I put a deposit down already. Like,
it's a little late then.
Yeah, I'm not going to lose my deposit because I was told not to go by another team, and believe it or not, like, we experienced that recently. Like, we were told not to go to a specific location. We chose to go anyway. We were told that it absolutely was not active, and we had one of our most active nights. So, I mean,
but in my opinion, you got to define active. Is it not active because your equipment's not going off? Or is it not active because you didn't feel anything? I've walked into locations before and felt heavy. I'm talking about feelings and hearing things and seeing things, and no equipment going off. To me, that's not necessarily not doesn't mean it's not active just because they're not making your REM pod light up. I think a lot of paranormal investigators get that confused with not active. Just because you're not collecting visual things doesn't mean it's not active. I've had good investigations with no equipment going on.
And we've also been on investigations where we've come home, thought it was a completely dead night, come home, started reviewing evidence, and we caught shadow figures, EVPs, things that we didn't even see or hear or feel or anything while we were there. So,
Yeah, because I don't check for EVPs during an investigation. Very rarely do I do, because I don't really pull out a recorder much. I usually rely on my body cam to collect EVPs. So I don't consider in place locations to be not active until I review all the footage and stuff like that. Because
I will say I agree with that. The only reason I wouldn't go to a location is if there's something that bothers me morally about something there, someone there. So say the owner the owner has a really bad reputation for something important. I won't go. Same as I won't interview people who I don't agree with their moral stand on something. You know, somebody who screwed around on their spouse, and I knew both spouses. I won't interview them, which makes sense, right? You know, I don't want to be associated with that. But there are some locations that I won't go to, and I don't have to put it out there where they are, and I don't have to share it with anybody.
Right.
But if somebody's going to ask me, I'll tell them, you know.
And that's the beauty of having your own podcast and being your own person. Like 1A, you have your own team, so you can make a choice where you want to go. 2B, you have your own podcast, so you can choose who to have on there and who not to have on there. You know, I haven't been faced with anybody that I wouldn't have on my podcast again, I don't think.
Not yet. We're still rookies in the world, though.
I just have a problem with liars and cheaters. Okay, we'll just keep it at that.
Hey, and that's your preference, and you have every right to that, and I respect it. I do. I respect everybody's personal values, and that's the problem. One of the biggest problems I see in the paranormal world, as well as the real world. People don't respect other people's personal values and morals. If you have a certain thing that's yours and a certain belief that you stand on, and somebody else can't respect it, screw them. You know, if you say, "Hey, this is the belief and the thing I stand on," then I have no choice but to respect that.
Right.
Who am I to tell you what you can't do or decide, or, you know, that's your choice. And that's
integrity is huge.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't have that in the paranormal, you have nothing.
That's true.
So that's something that you have to keep in mind. If they're willing to lie about important stuff like that, what else are they willing to lie about? So that's kind of where I go with that. You know, so keep that in mind when you meet somebody who does that to you. I'm not going to tell you don't have this person on because of this. You guys have to find out that kind of stuff on your own.
Right.
You know, now there are some people I will tell everything to. Kat, she knows I'll tell her anything. But that's a whole different ball game. But I'm not going to tell you what that your morals have to be my morals. That's never going to happen. But like I said, there are some places, I don't care how haunted they are, I'm not going. And it has nothing to do with the haunting. It has more to do with
the owner
or the people running it. I don't want my money to go to those people.
And I respect that. And we have maybe one or two places like that. Ours is more of bad business type situations. Ours is more of the personal things. I have a rule: you ain't got but one time. Mm-hmm. That's very bad grammar. You don't have but one time to
no, you said it right. You ain't got but one time.
You ain't got but one time. I'm one of those people. I give everybody a fair shot. If you could, everybody's own, even when it's down to politics, you know, and I don't want to talk too much on that right now, but I have people on different spectrum, different beliefs. They believe something completely opposite than I do. And I can get along with them just fine. And I put my dad out there as a thing. He and I we're on way different side of the fence on politics. And
I live that life.
And he'll call me sometimes and say, boy, take that mess down on Facebook. Those are the people on my personal page know where I stand because I'm very vocal about it. But he'll say, take that mess down on Facebook. This person's an idiot and blah, 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 blah. But we'll have that conversation. And by the end of the conversation, we're laughing about something else. He knows that I don't like his person. He don't like mine. And nobody cares.
Yeah, you agree to disagree and move on. But I'll tell you, I was raised with a Baltimore mom. And well, my mom's from Virginia. My dad was from Virginia. My mom and dad were on different sides of the spectrum, but I grew up in Baltimore. I'm the black sheep of my family. So I'm the one that's different from everybody else.
Yeah. I'm the black sheep of my family. A lot of my family's one way. I'm the other. I've got some of my family who won't speak to me over political reasons, which is fine. But I respect
what can you do?
I respect everybody's personal belief. Hell, I got friends on different ends of it, and I will make fun of them. They'll make fun of me, and we move on. And I feel like it should be that way in paranormal. It's just like when people talk about equipment. There's people who literally have stopped, who won't talk to me because I don't believe in something they believe that's paranormal, or a piece of equipment like her REM pod. It's just like I'll bring up the SLS, for example. I'm one of the few people who will admittedly still use the SLS. And a lot of other investigators will say it's junk, it's flawed, it's this, that, it's the third. Everybody has their own belief with it. Some people like it, but I don't. I'll never look at somebody and say that your piece of equipment is junk, don't use it, and everything you get with it is wrong. Because I don't know. None of us know. There's no investigator that knows really anything about paranormal. Everyone is still learning. I don't care if you've been investigating for 50 years until you can make that spirit appear and conjure him up right in front of you and tell you everything. We don't really know. So every piece of equipment is flawed, in my opinion. Everything can be debunked. I don't care what you use. I give her a hard time, but in all reality, every piece of equipment we take out is flawed, technically.
And so is every person.
Every person. You're right.
That's just the way it is. And, us learning the differences in the equipment of how it acts in one place versus another. So her REM pod could work perfect at one location, but say we took it to someplace like McPike Mansion, it won't work there. There's no need for you to take it. I'm telling you that now. It won't work there. Anything electronic won't work there.
And I agree with you.
The way that goes.
I agree with you 100%. I've seen her REM pod work beautiful. And I say her REM, I carry one too. I give her shit all the time. I give her shit. But I've seen a REM pod work in ways that I can't explain or debunk. I've seen them work beautifully. It's not my go-to, but I've seen them do things that even I'm like, okay, I can't recreate that. I don't know why I did that or what's going on with it. But who am I to tell her don't use that? It's flawed. You can't take that out. It's just, it goes back to respecting people and what they believe in and what they want to use. And I think that's a big problem that I see in the community itself. I know we're getting way off from what we originally started talking about.
Actually, no, we're right there. We talked about integrity, which is necessary, and now respect, which is also necessary, not just for the paranormal, but for your everyday life. And then boundaries. You're also talking about those. So we have all these things that are not just paranormal. They go into your everyday life.
Absolutely.
And the thing is we are all living representatives, not only of the paranormal, but everyday life. And if we could all remember that when we're out and about, it makes everything a whole lot easier, wouldn't it?
A whole lot easier. Life would be great.
Well, I think I think that each person needs to take time to continue to grow in the paranormal realm. And that's a key component. If someone told me they got great evidence by sticking a probe up my ass, I would laugh and say, good for you.
Some people might like that.
Yeah,
we live in a society, sweetie, that might be acceptable in today's world.
That might help people be a better investigator.
Yeah. It takes all kinds of methods and all kinds of different equipment to get the whole story. Yeah, and that's the key. That's where I was going
I
with that.
agree with that 100%.
That's where I was going with that, Michael. We have a location that we host public events at here in Lynchburg, and those public events have actually helped me grow as a paranormal investigator, because now you're taking people that are not in the paranormal world, giving them a brief, like 20-minute rundown on equipment, some ideas on how to use it, and then you let them go. And you sit back and you watch how they choose to utilize the equipment that you've handed for them to borrow. And I've learned stuff off of people that aren't even in or on a team.
We have too.
Watching people investigate, to me, is fun. Like, I love it. I absolutely love it. But I'm able to grow as a paranormal investigator that way in multiple aspects, not just like ideas, techniques, and things like that, but also with patience, respect, boundaries, and integrity. Because as a team that hosts public investigations, we have to uphold public integrity. Word of mouth is everything in a business at the end of the day. So you want people to go back and be like, oh my God, Hill City Paranormal is doing an event. You've got to jump on it. They were awesome. Like, last time we did this, and this went well, and this went great, and we had a blast. As opposed to, what you don't want is somebody to be like, man, they're full of shit. They fake their evidence. They're just like Zach Baggins. Like, they're rude. They said everything I did was wrong. Like, don't do that. We pride ourselves in maintaining that 5-star review. You know what I'm saying? So, and then respect, obviously it's me respecting the public's ideas, whether I agree with them as a paranormal investigator or not. I respect your ideas. We've had people on our public investigations that are thoroughly convinced that their grandma that passed away 200 years ago is the one that's coming through at this location, even though their grandma passed away in Mexico. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you believe, that's what you believe, and I'm right there for it.
That was actually neat.
I believe that with you. And
yeah, it's possible too.
I think
I tell people that all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I think that that's a lot of problem in the paranormal world, is that so many people are closed-minded and so set in their ways.
They are.
Their way or the highway. I witnessed, and that's a real life experience that I witnessed. We got the name, I'll never forget it. We got the name Lucy across the spirit box. And there was a young couple that was with me on my team. And I'll make this brief, but they were with me on my team, and I saw he didn't speak a whole lot. He really didn't. His girlfriend was very interested in the equipment in the spirit box and dowsing rods. She had a pair. And she was doing a lot of question asking, and he was just sitting back. And when the name Lucy came across the spirit box, he perked up, his whole face changed. And I'm a body language person, so that caught my attention, because I'm like, okay, this dude has literally looked like a skeptic all night long. What's going on? Let me pay attention over here. So all of a sudden, he says to me, after like a few more words came across the spirit box, he said, excuse me, can I ask some questions in another language? And I said, absolutely. So all of a sudden, this just Spanish came out. Blah, 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 like, I can't even go. And he was just talking. And I had a REM pod set up across the room, and it was coinciding with the questions he was asking in Spanish. His grandmother's name was Lucy. She passed away actually 1 month prior to the investigation in Mexico. And that REM pod hadn't gone off in that location all night. So, I'm open for it. I am all open for it. If maybe grandma's coming through, and the thing that got me and pulled at my heartstrings a little bit was after the investigation, he said, I wasn't able to make it to her funeral, and I just got the closure I needed because of this investigation. Yep. And I was like, that to me is why I do what I do.
We have a similar thing that happened, but I would tell
similar.
people when we were doing tours at the Sally House that, or anywhere that we've gone, when you go to a paranormal location, the spirits that are with you are there because they know that you're going there to talk to spirits. And you can't assume that the spirits that you're talking to belong to that house. They could be yours because you've already put it out there that you want to talk to spirits.
That's true.
They're going to utilize this time to talk to you no matter what. And our very second time at the Sally House, we had taken our dowsing rods and some other equipment with us. And we were sharing it with the other guests. We were guests. We were not tour guides. And this lady comes up to me and she says, "Can you use your dowsing rods to talk to my dad?" I said, "I don't know." I said,
We didn't. We really didn't at the time.
and I said,
Had no clue.
"If you want," I said, we can sit down and we can ask some questions." And we went into one of the rooms at the Sally House and she started asking questions that only she knew the answers to. Because I told her, I said, before we start, make sure you ask questions that only you know the answers to, or you and your mom know the answers to, that, that I couldn't even guess. Okay. So I'm holding the dowsing rods and she's asking all these questions and she's convinced that she's talking to her father. And she's asking these questions and she's getting all these answers of stuff she didn't know about. And she's writing them down. And she said, "This was really important because I had to pull the plug." So she had to make the decision to let her dad die. And she wanted to make sure that he understood that she didn't do it because she wanted to, but because she felt like it was the right thing. We left that house crying.
Yeah.
I made a friend with this lady that I've never met before. I've talked to her a couple more times, and she says that was the most prophetic conversation she ever had. And that everything that she got helped her move on.
And her mom was there with her.
Yeah, her mom, who was actually divorced from the guy who died.
Yeah.
But they were still close. It was her birthday. And for them, it was one of the very best days of their life, they said, after his death anyway.
See, and I love stories like that because they really do change the mindset of paranormal research. Like I said in the beginning of this podcast, not all of us sit around and conjure demons. Like, we also help people, whether it's helping them mentally or giving them some kind of closure that they were seeking. And they didn't know where else or how else to seek that out.
Yeah.
So, they jump on public investigations like that. They cling to people that have experience in the paranormal research world. And, Sean, we were laughing today because, a lot like you said towards Ron, Sean ends up with all the females every time. They all cling to Sean. So I actually asked somebody one time, because she's on our team, and if we break off into groups, she's going with Sean. I mean, end of story. So I asked her, I said, "Rhonda, why do you always go with Sean?" And she said, it's the whole like male safety thing. So, I think that's why is, I told her, I said, well, none of us can beat up a ghost at the end of the day.
No.
Like, we'd be looking real silly.
That'd be funny to
swinging
watch
in the
somebody
air,
try it, though.
But I think it really has to do with the whole male figure and safety thing. So, but Sean ends up with all the females, and females by nature are emotional creatures. We just are. So when you get people like that are looking for closure for a loved one that's passed on, maybe in a situation like you had, where she had to make the decision for the better of her dad, to avoid any further suffering, she would be more likely to cling to somebody with an emotional connection, as opposed to a female on an investigation that wants to go because she's curious, but she really deep down is like petrified because she's in a haunted location. So I noticed that there's also a difference there too. If females show up to the investigation, cling to the male guide more so than a female that's looking for an emotional connection, because females are more likely to emotionally connect with another female. So, and just in working through that and listening to that situation, I think that's why you, Denise, got clung to in that situation, because you can actually empathize better with another woman than, say, a male can. And that sounds sexist. I see Sean. I see Sean's face. Okay, I know that sounds sexist, but this is crude reality. What it is. Women are more emotional creatures.
Okay.
You know, if there's a woman that's crying on my investigation,
what are you crying about?
There. Mine, and I'm going, oh my God, come here, it's okay, and we've had that happen too.
Wipe the tears away.
We've had that happen.
I'm just playing.
I
don't do
Go investigate with Cortney. Yeah,
big girls don't cry.
Courtney's down the hall. Go down there.
Come give me 20.
Don't send them my way, please.
I do got my old military hat. I can go get it.
That's right.
I kind of agree in some cases, but we were at like the John Warnell house, and we had these spirits that would not talk to anybody but the women.
Yeah,
and we had this one woman who had never been on a paranormal investigation, and after that, during that time, something happened in that room. She jumped behind me like, I'm going to go behind her. She's a mom. She'll take care of me.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it, like I said, energy is everything. We were just discussing energy today, actually, the transfer of energy. We said that that plays a factor. If you are in a room full of people and everybody's gung ho in investigating and trying to get to the bottom of something, and somebody's sitting there like this going, okay,
that's you've seen them.
Oh yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah.
It really is a transfer of energy. I mean,
you can be getting evidence, and then that one negative person will shut it all down.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Like, no.
Hot investigation.
No.
He's got a great story. You're gonna love it. Get ready to laugh.
We were at the Sally house. I was down in the basement. I had about 20 people down there.
Wasn't Carl with you?
I don't know if Carl was down there at the time. Anyway,
he was.
Okay. It was one of those days that it was really active. I'll put it that way. It was guessing the names of people that were coming down. Anyway, this kid comes down and he says, yeah, we were at my brother's football game, play at the college there. And he goes, this is my dad. And I said, oh, okay, welcome. He goes, so what's going on? I said, well, we're just asking questions, guessing people's names. He goes, oh, so he goes, what's my dad's name? We had the echo box going. It says Robert. And his dad goes, oh, it didn't say it. And everybody in the room, says Robert. And I said, is that your name? He goes, that thing didn't just say my name, did it? And I'm like, I don't know. And his kid's just laughing. He goes, yeah, it said my dad's name. And the kid goes, do it again. And it says Robert. And his dad's like, oh my, how'd you do that? I was like, I'm not doing it. Whatever's in here is doing it. And I guessed another lady's name. And everybody down there was just laughing because this guy was literally getting freaked out. He was getting a little shook up. He's like, I don't know how you guys are doing this, but he goes, this is not cool. And this kid is laughing his butt off. He's just sitting in a chair right in front of me. All of a sudden, these three ladies, older women, come down the steps. They all go down the end of the steps. The last one's on about the second step, and she does like this. So what are you doing down here? Well, everybody in the whole place, down the whole basement, just turned and looked at her like. I said, well, we're doing an echo box session. It's just asking people's names, and it's guessing their names, right? And she goes, well, we don't believe in this stuff.
Do you ever just want to look at them and say, then why the hell are you here?
Exactly. Everybody had that look on their face like, well, why are you here?
Because you paid for this.
And she just kept flapping her gums. And he goes, can I ask another question? I said, yeah, go ahead. He asked, nothing happened. I mean, the Echo Box went. I mean, it was still on, but it just went dead.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, and then I kind of hear people rumbling, like, "Hey, what's going on? What happened?" And I'm like, I don't know. Let me restart it. I shut it off. I restarted it. Still nothing. Well, this lady, she's still talking. Well, we don't believe in this stuff. I don't even. And finally, one lady kind of looked at her like, "Why don't you?" And she goes, "Well, we just don't." And we went back, and the kids asked me, he says, "Is it working again?" And I said, "Yeah." Somebody asked a question, so they started asking questions. Absolutely nothing. And I thought, I don't know. They just kind of just killed our vibe, right? And the lady, she's sitting there, goes, "Well, we're going to leave." And I mean, everybody's heads turned, and they all looked at the stairs like, oh, you could see in their face like, oh, thank God they're leaving. They start walking up the steps. This thing, Echo Box has been quiet at least for 5 minutes. I mean, nothing. Absolutely nothing. They start walking up the steps, loud and clear. The Echo Box goes, "Bye, bitches." I mean, everyone, the whole place fell down laughing. The kid went like, and his dad says, "Oh, that's okay, son. That's okay." And it started working again as soon as they left.
That is funny.
Yeah, it started working. Everything went back to normal. But I mean, when they came down, they just killed it.
It is something about negative energy, or it may not even be negative. It's just that one wrong energy will shut the investigation down.
That's hilarious. Bye, bitches.
That is funny.
It was loud and clear.
But I do wonder, I have wondered, has anybody else ever experienced that? Because I've experienced it. I've seen investigations where something is just hot and you're getting stuff and everybody's kind of involved, and you look around the room and see that one person in the corner like,
yeah.
And then all of a sudden everything just stops and you're like, why did
I do wonder, like, why did you buy a ticket? Like,
yeah, but
I don't know.
When you're a tour guide, you can't ask that question.
No, you can't.
Smile and make the best of it.
Like I said, when everybody turned their head when she said that, I mean, they all snapped their heads. There's 20 people at least in that basement. It's not very big. They all snapped their heads all at once and looked. They had that look on their faces like, "Why are you even here then?" I mean, why'd you bother?
Now, I do like those ones who sit in the corner all tough.
Oh, yeah.
And then when something happens, it scares the shit out of them. Now,
oh, yeah.
Did you see that?
Yep.
And then they blame you. How did you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got a magic button in my pocket that's making this stuff happen.
We've actually had.
I'm sitting there going, and the kid was great because he was saying, he goes, they said, how's he doing this? And the kid goes, he doesn't know my dad's name.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, kids are brutally honest.
This is my dad.
Kids are brutally honest.
Names that were down there. I didn't know who they were.
Right.
Like I said, it was just one of those days. This thing was really active that day.
I mean, even so, when we do like our public investigations, we go around and we introduce ourselves. I do not remember anybody's name.
No.
Right.
I've got 25 to 30 people sitting in this room.
Yeah.
You can tell me your names. I'm going to ask you each time, what is your name again? What is your name again? Whatever. But Chris had a good point. Kids are usually more open too, but I like their brutal honesty.
Oh, yeah. In my case, doing all those tours, I couldn't remember people's names. So when they were introducing themselves, I would write down something about them that was unoffensive.
Like Brenda, green shirt.
Yeah.
Striped socks. Things like that. Things that I could look at and go, oh, okay, this is, Joanne, based on the striped socks. So I would look for something unique on each person because, they expect you to remember their names. And it's like, crap, I can't do it. But hey, Crystal, when you said that you were born near Lynchburg, that's where my dad was buried to, or born to. So,
where were you born, Crystal? So, if you don't mind me asking,
if you're still here.
Yeah, she's still here.
But yeah, kids, I love kids during an investigation. We have an age limit on ours just simply because I did find our first one we kind of didn't open with no Danville. So Danville's about
Oh, you got Gravity Hill.
45, 50 minutes away from us. So yeah.
Gravity Hill.
But we did it.
North Carolina.
No, Gravity Hill's Danville.
It's on
Every
the board.
state has a gravity
Yeah.
hill.
That's true. That's
And
true.
they're all crap.
we left our investigation open to all ages the first time, and then we put an age limit on it very quickly to 14 and up, just solely because
We're not babysitters. I'm gonna put it out there.
yeah.
I don't care. I'm gonna say it. We're not babysitters.
Well, not
I've
only
had to babysit more adults than
Yeah,
I've
we
had
had
kids,
adults.
though.
well, not only that, we hopped on an investigation with Truth and Evidence in Savannah, Georgia, and
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I was so mad. So I'm weird. If I get scared, I get angry. I don't yell, I don't scream, I'm cussing. Like, so I was sitting in, anybody that's ever been there, we were doing the Savannah Theater, and I was sitting in the stairway trying to communicate with the young boy.
I know where that's at, by the way.
That's there. And yes, it is a real town, and I'm still immature every single time I drive through it.
Yeah.
Well, then don't drive through Uranus, Missouri.
Yeah, no. Yeah, there's a town called
Because
Uranus.
you always
And I
come
think
out
there's
one
like
end.
an appropriate sign when you go into Uranus too. But anyway, so I'm sitting in the
You
stairwell,
been to Uranus?
and my stepdaughter and you are outside. No, you guys were sitting above me, right? I don't know, but either way, this other kid comes through, and we were real concentrated, and we're staring down the stairwell. And this other kid comes by,
Oh, that wasn't
pops into the room.
That
It was
was
in
in Georgia.
Savannah. That's why I said Savannah
Yeah.
Theater. Pops into the room and says very loudly, "Are y'all getting anything?" My stepdaughter screams. He says, "What the hell?" And I go, "God damn it." Like, because and then the mom screamed, and it was just a whole screaming match, like in here. And she was just a young child. So although I appreciate kids' energy and brutal honesty, I can't do the screaming. Like, things are going to happen that I think, you need to be a certain age to be able to maturely handle, maybe. Not only that, when you're communicating with the spiritual realm, you don't know what kind of portal you're opening. And kids are very subjective. You know what I'm saying? And I would really hate to, I'm a knock on wood for this one. I would never want to get a message from a parent that says, after your investigation, I came home and my child is climbing up the wall backwards and her head is spinning around.
Right.
Like, I don't want that. I don't want any child to be subjected to that.
Yeah, we can't cleanse people's houses.
Yeah, we're not qualified cleansers, so to speak.
Yeah.
We've been recently asked a lot.
Yeah, people
To
ask
cleanse,
us to do,
like-
but we just to put that out there, we do not cleanse.
We also don't do house calls.
No, we don't.
That's a personal rule for us.
We'll do businesses just to come. We'll come in to businesses and identify if anything is there. But and even then, we're just giving you our opinion.
In today's society, we're just not comfortable with house calls. That's really what
We're
it
not.
boils down to.
I don't want that
I
problem.
can see that.
I don't trust people.
that I wasn't going to be directly out there like that just
I'll be
because I'm trying
direct. We do not trust a lot of people.
right. And then I trust my team. But if we go into a house and somebody, leaves out a $10,000 diamond tennis bracelet and that goes missing, I know I didn't take it. I know he didn't take it because we were together. But where was the rest of my team? Now I don't trust my team. Now I don't trust anybody else that was in the house. You know what I'm saying? It's a liability.
And plus, you don't know what the hell people got going on in their personal life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, that's what you got to find out first.
we did one, and she kept saying she was hearing stuff and all
We
this other
talked
stuff.
to her quite a few times.
Oh my God. We get to her house and there's drug paraphernalia everywhere. And it's like, I wasn't comfortable. And I told Ron, I said, I'm cleansing the house and I'm getting out. I said, it's not going to do any good. I told him, I said,
No.
it's not going to do
You're
any
the
good.
second team that I've heard that. We interviewed another team that said they walked in, there was needles, drugs, spoons, and they had to get up out of there.
Well, I lucked out, I guess, because I didn't have any of that. It was all bongs and stuff like that. So it's not as bad as it could have been, I guess. But
Well,
still,
that's why you're hearing shit, ma'am. You have superior marijuana.
Marijuana, as Sergeant Major used to say, marijuana go.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. One time, talking about kids, we had one night we did this thing called the Haunted Hop in Atchison. And it was dinner at a haunted restaurant. And then you went to 2 different places to investigate for a little bit. And you got the trolley tour. So it was like 3 things together. And so we would take people on this. And we had this girl's birthday party. They decided to do their birthday party with us. And they were 13, 14 years old. They had adults with them. But one girl, as we were getting to the Sally house, she got physically sick.
Yeah.
And I got her to the trash can in time to keep from having to clean it up off of everything. But at that point in time, I was wishing that we didn't take kids, because that was very, I don't know. It was hard for the other kids.
She got sick as we were pulling up in front of the house.
Yeah, but
she'd been fine up till then.
They had played volleyball all day, and she was dehydrated, is what it was. It wasn't spirit related, but her mom said she had been dehydrated. But yeah, we had tacos. We got to see them again.
Ugh.
They were reincarnated for all of us.
Yeah, I can't do that. We had this discussion on our last investigation. Somebody puking, I'm puking too. Now you got 2 people to clean up after.
No, luckily I got, like I said, we got her in the house and out the back door with the trash can and got her out there to where, and as we were leaving the house, I told Ron, I said, here's the trash can. And I took the bag out and he locked the house and I just went by the way of the trash can and dropped it off. But still, it made me go, crap, this is horrible to do this with kids. Well, the next time we did it, we had drunk men, which was just as bad, if not worse, because they were the negative energy on that one. I ended up sending them out to, you know how bad it is when you have to send 30-year-old men out to a bus to go sit?
Yeah.
Yeah. We put that disclaimer out there. If you do any acting, if
you're intoxicated,
you're visibly intoxicated or high, we're going to ask you to leave.
Well, the thing is in this case, I did not know that they were drinking their dinner. Because I couldn't watch everybody. And then another time we did an investigation in Springfield, Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
And we had heroin addicts.
Oh, God.
So basically, we kept them busy so everybody else had a good time. And we weren't the tour guides, okay?
No.
It's just we were tour guides somewhere else, so we knew what was going on.
Somebody knew who they were and knew their history and what they like to do. And they said, yep, they were high as a kite. So for all your trouble, we're going to give you 2 free tickets to come back. So we did.
Yeah. But still, it was... luckily when it came time for the meal break that we had, they left and they didn't come back. Apparently, if you're on heroin, you're not hungry. So they left, and then we had the rest of the night to enjoy ourselves. But, it kept the tour group from everybody having a horrible time.
Right.
It was just us that it sucked for. But
and that's where, to wrap it all the way back around, because I know you guys, are on a time limit too, to wrap it all the way back around to the original question of couples and paranormal investigating. That's where I feel like our strong suit is, and it sounds like it's you and Ron's as well, as far as damage control. Mm-hmm. So I do feel like we team up, we read people very well together. Just because we don't see eye to eye investigating doesn't mean that we don't still have that. We've been together long enough to where, you can give each other that look. And I know you two know what I'm talking about. It's just a look where, like Ron, I'm sure Denise shoots you a look if you guys are in a bar or a restaurant, like, get me the hell out of here. And you just know it's time to go. you know, things like that. So I think that that's important to have that emotional connection.
Yeah, all I have to do is go, and we're done. You know, he can always tell when my stomach's bothering me or my heart, my face changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's not even intentional. It's just there. But, you know, 40 years of being together, if we can't read each other, then we got a whole different problem.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
And and you know, as you said, you guys go different directions sometimes when you're investigating. It's because we're comfortable in who we are to be able to do that.
Right.
He doesn't make me Denise. I don't make him Ron, but together, you know, we're Denise and Ron, and that's, you know, that's
right.
a whole other personality in itself.
That's right.
Oh yeah. And it works.
You know, and there's a level of trust that goes in that too. I mean, if I need Sean, he's a radio call away and he's right there. You know, if somebody's down, injured, you know, I am clumsy as hell. So if I go down or I fall, you know, his daughter's on the radio, Dad, Miss Cortney tripped and fell in the dark and hit her head. And, you know, I have no doubt that Sean would be right there in 2.2 seconds. It doesn't matter, 18,000 square foot building or not.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, it's a level of trust that you've got to have there too.
Trust is everything. Trust is everything, especially in this field, the paranormal field. You got to trust your partner.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to be a couple doing it. You have to trust your team if you have a team. And whatever you do, you have to have trust. You have to trust yourself. Trust is everything. It wraps all in your everyday life, really wraps into this field, you know, integrity, all that. And I believe spirits can read that. It goes back into why is it that we just had a whole conversation about you're getting evidence, you're getting activity, everything's great. And that one negative person can ruin everything. That's real life. Go to a party. What happens at a party when everybody's having fun and a fight breaks out? The party never goes back to the same. Or you walk into a bar and everybody's having a good time. You can always spot who the troublemaker is going to be. Yeah. Talking to a guy who's been in bars a lot, you know. I played in them with music. I've worked in them as security before. I've done all kind of stuff in bars. Every time I've been in a bar, I can always read the crowd and know that guy's going to be a problem. And 9 out of 10 times when something happens, that guy was a problem. And it works in the paranormal as well. You know, you can be having a great night and one person can ruin the whole thing. And usually when that person leaves, the activity picks right back up. It's weird how that happens. Very strange.
Yep, seen it in family reunions.
Well, I will tell you.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
I will tell you.
But that's true. That's true.
I will tell you live on this podcast before we leave. If anything happens to you,
when you walk out the room, that we get activity.
No. If anything happens to you, I promise to investigate your spirit. With my REM pod.
I will set off every piece of equipment except the REM pod.
The REM pod first.
With the REM pod first.
If y'all investigate me, I'm setting off everything but the REM pod. I'm breakdancing on the SLS. I'll touch the K2s. I will not touch a REM pod. Did not put a REM pod.
You're going to touch the REM pod.
I like the SLS in certain locations and depending on where you have it pointed. If it's, you know, like a flat wall, there's nothing, behind it, no design or not, and you actually have something there, then you got to really look into it.
An SLS is the most hated piece of equipment in the paranormal world. But let me explain to you people, the one thing that you have to bring to the table is common freaking sense. If I'm pointing the SLS at a banister and it's mapping the banister, then it's the banister.
Right.
But if I'm pointing it at a staircase and you can see the banister, you can see the other banister, but there is a stick figure on the 4th stair up. What is it?
I treat the SLS.
As long as it doesn't show any lines going like this, then I'd be fine.
Right.
I treat common sense like every other piece of equipment, though. That's the concept I can't grasp in this field. And I'm not knocking anybody for their personal beliefs. So let me put that out there because I know investigators can be very sensitive. It's kind of like the music world. Musicians are the most sensitive people.
Oh, yeah.
You tell a musician, hey, you need to tune your guitar. Oh, you're talking about my music? What? And that paranormal investigation is the same way. Oh my God, people, we're grown. So let's talk about the SLS for a second. I treat it personally like every other piece of equipment. If I'm mapping a stick figure and it's not against a banister, like she said, or a door frame with marks in it that can mimic a person, if it's an empty room, I will ask the figure to do things.
Oh,
Exactly.
Don't forget the
That's what we do.
that are in,
The portraits that are
the portraits that are of the full body.
Common sense. Yes. Do they have flaws? Yes. Do they have flaws in the program? Yes. Does your K2 have flaws in it? Yes. Does your REM pod have flaws? Yes. Does anything you use, your spirit box? Yes. A lot of voices you're getting, I hate to break it to you, that's the radio. But the SLS, if you have a stick figure and you tell it to raise its hand and it raises its damn hand, and you tell it to put it down and it puts it down, and you tell it to lift its leg and it lifts, and you're telling it to do things and it's doing it. I mean,
See, and that's where I have a problem is I need to see how it's programmed. Is there any, because you're using it on something that picks up voice, it has a microphone.
I don't know.
Is it built in?
It was doing what we were asking at Ashmore.
But again, you don't know if there is something built in.
Carl, get in here.
Why? Because
I was there when it was doing
but can
it.
you read code? That's what I'm talking about.
Well, you got
code.
Well, you got to look
in the code.
Well, we can get into the tech. No, I can't ever.
I was going to say we're going to have to do show 2 for technology
side of things with the SLS. It's mapping a figure.
Right.
The Xbox Connect can pick up voices in order for you to be able to communicate through. However, it doesn't have the technology for you to control what it's mapping. When they develop it, you can't tell what it maps to do certain things.
Right.
Now, what it can do is mimic what it's seeing. So, for example, if it's mimicking, and you can look up the technology, you can research it. If it's picking me up as a stick figure, it's mapping. What it's mapping is my shape. If it was mapping me, it would be a lot bigger stick figure, right? But it's mapping my head and my body.
Your joints. It's mapping all the joints.
So when I move my hand, it's going to raise my hand with me. When it's mapping a banister, all it's mapping is the long line. And then it throws arms and legs out there to map a person, because you're tricking the technology.
Thinking it's a person
there. So if you're mapping a banister, next time take your SLS and point it at a banister and ask it to raise its arm. See what happens. It's not going to do it.
Not going to.
Map it at a tree. Ask it to raise its arm. And that's a good thing that you put out there, Denise. That's a great point you threw out there. Can it pick up your voice? Take your equipment in the field and test it. And that's a great way that we can debunk our own evidence. Because I've done this. I have. I've taken my SLS and made it map things and told it to lift it. And guess what? It didn't move. So, and if you look into the technology behind how the SLS camera works, if I'm mapping a tree, it will give it arms and legs, because you're tricking the technology into believing it's mapping a person. And so if you ask it to do things, it'll sit there and move around because it's trying to figure out what the hell it's mapping. It's like, okay, it looks like a person, but tell it to do something. It's going to keep just sitting there trying to figure out, what am I mapping? Now, again, I go back to Gettysburg when I mapped the area where the soldiers were supposedly hung, and the three stick figures popped up. When I asked it to raise its arm, it raised its arm. And when I asked it to put it down, right then and there, it put it down. I asked it to do it again, it did it again. These were all on my command. When I didn't say anything, they just sat still. In my opinion, that's something that I cannot explain. But if I aim it at a tree, I can ask it all day long to do things and it won't do nothing. So that's a good point. That's like something I didn't even think of.
So there's another show idea, Denise and Ron, technology.
Yeah, equipment. That's a good show idea. You should actually have that conversation. You don't have to do it with me. You can, but
see, I want to see how the code is written. Because there's some of these ghost boxes that actually have words, sentences built into them. The SB7 actually has the word demon in it. and that's probably the reason why it comes up so frequently. It's probably on a loop to come around so often when it's on. And, that's one of the things that, I write some code. I don't write a lot, but I do write some code, but I can read it really well. I can tell you how a website is built from the code. So that's what makes me think, hey, I need to look at this and see, does it have a microphone?
It does.
Then how's the code written to pick up what you're saying?
I mean, I don't know if they have on an SLS. I don't know if they have the microphone disabled, but the Kinetics program itself does have a microphone, because I know this just because my stepdaughter and I used to play Just Dance, and you get bonus points if you sing along.
Oh, see?
So, if you're doing the Just Dance moves or whatever, and you're singing the song along, you get golden points for that.
But you have to have a code in there for you to tell your character on the screen to do something. That's a whole separate code.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if the SLS has the microphone like disabled.
No, I don't think SLS has it.
Yeah, like I said, I'll have to look and see at the
SLS
code.
might, but the program doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a good point, though.
It's a thought.
That's a great point. I actually like that point that you brought up. But again, I'm all for taking it out and use it and testing it. I've tested the theory before, because in my mind I wondered, well, can you tell it to do that and will it work? So I've actually tested this theory, but nobody else has said that before other than you. And that's what kind of got my bell going. I was like, But I did the same theory with cat balls. A lot of people get excited when a cat ball lights up and they don't move, but there's actually a science behind that. That's a whole nother conversation for another time. But I actually got on a podcast and completely debunked the whole cat ball thing. Do I still use them? Absolutely. But there's a certain technique I use when I use a cat ball. I don't just pull them out my bag and put them up. That's a conversation for another day. But there's a lot of people will take a cat ball, set it up, and when it lights up, they get excited. Yeah. And they're like, oh man, it didn't move. It lit up. There must have been a ghost making that connection. And that's not the case.
It could be vibration. It could be a lot of different things that we can't even feel.
It's more to it. Like you said, there's a whole lot of different factors with it.
Humidity makes it happen as well. The barometric pressure can cause it. Here, we haven't heard it in a while, but they'll do maneuvers out at the base, and you can feel your house, through your feet. You can feel it through your feet or your ass, something that's actually touching the floor, but you don't feel it otherwise. And it seems louder in our house than it is outside, which is weird, but I can feel it when they're blowing shit up with the tanks down the road.
A lot of the things with cat balls, and again, a lot of it is a conversation for another day, but the biggest thing is, where do people carry them? In a bag or their pocket? Well, when it heats up, the tube inside shrinks and swells, allowing the balls to move freely. So when you sit it out in a different environment, it could be shrinking or swelling the tube that's allowing the barbells to move around. And all it is it shrink or it opening enough to let the ball free and it touching. And so when it lights up, everybody's like, oh my God. And really, it's just science. That's why I don't put them out right away. I let everything acclimate to the room first before I sit the cat ball out. But a lot of people don't. They'll pull them out. It's
like the flashlight.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about the flashlight trick.
I don't use it. I did it first, and then I was like, wait a minute, no.
Yeah.
This is crap. I know.
I did it first. At first I did, and then I was like, man, no.
Yeah, once it gets into your head and you realize, oh my God, this is normal.
Yeah.
I understand. And then you go, why did I believe that to start with? But I never did believe it. And that's one of the things. I've been on many shows where I've talked about that. And then I've even been on a panel where somebody goes, what thing in the paranormal do you hate the most? And I go, the flashlight trick. And you can just see people going.
People get mad at you for the flashlight trick. Yeah. Oh my gosh. People get mad about equipment. I never understood that. Like,
I know. We've seen it.
I just get frustrated with it when I know the science behind it.
Right.
And he was an electronics technician. That was his job. And it's like, it's batteries. This happens. Why do you think every once in a while my smoke detector will chirp? It's because it's getting close to ending its life.
It's like politics. You can talk to somebody on the other side and explain everything in fine detail, and they're still not going to believe you, no matter what.
Amen to that. Amen.
Well, I'd like to thank you guys so much. That's right, Crystal. That's why it's called a trick.
Yeah, that's why it's called a trick.
I'd like to thank you guys so much for coming on. I hope you guys have a great week. And we didn't even get to talk about your investigation that you did today.
Well, and that's a conversation that we can have next time.
Yep, it can be. So,
was it a graveyard?
It was.
It was a cemetery.
Yeah,
okay.
We still need to talk about
wanted to jump on.
one.
Yeah, the other one you need to go.
We're going to make it. We talked about that today on the way back here. And we're going to make it a point to get to that one probably within the next week or so.
Oh, okay.
So give me a call when you do that, and but join us here every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central for the Paranormal Pride. You can catch me here where you're watching me at, and some of those locations are YouTube for the Paranormal Pride, the Paranormal Pride on Facebook. You've got Denise Pridemore on LinkedIn. Add in Bill of Rights Network on Facebook, Born TV on Rumble, and here recently, Things Network. And to make an announcement, Ron and I are we're the new things in Florida.
The Florida Rips.
Yeah, so we're the Florida representatives for Things.
Couldn't find anyone else.
It's a big state. And
We're the odd ones out.
And now Kat Hobson is also the Things representative for Alabama. And just in case you guys are wondering, Carl's also the Things Network representative for Missouri. So you've got all of us here. Then you can join us every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. Central for Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal, in almost all the same places that I just said. And tomorrow, I don't know who our guest is going to be. Got some calls out, but nobody's returned them. I think it's because of back to school. But join us next Monday night at 7 p.m. Central for
what Tom's doing tomorrow.
For my guest. And my guest next week is, who did I say? I forgot who my guest is. It was a really good one too. Shoot, it's somebody I know. Darn. Damn. Well, you guys just have to come and see. So
I thought it was tomorrow night. No,
I've gone completely blank. Forgot who my guest is. That's why I usually put it in my calendar. I had to have put it in my calendar. So, and you know what, guys? Ron's birthday was yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
No, Saturday.
Something like that.
So, happy birthday to Ron. David Glidden's birthday was on Sunday. And Ron's best friend's birthday is today. And then this
happy birthday to everybody.
Oh, I got Maggie and Thomas
from
they were tour guides at the Missouri State Pen. So that's going to be fun to have them on. And
Thomas was security guard there.
No, he was actually a prison guard there for years and years.
Well, prison
guard. Then he's also now a tour guide there. And if you've seen anything haunted about Missouri State Pen, except for one show, it was them. They were on there. So it was really interesting when they were on Ghost Adventures, and they were on the Ghost Adventures Aftershocks. Maggie was, and they weren't married then; they are now. So it'll be interesting to hear more about theirs. They've been our tour guides twice or three times when we went out there. So join us for that, and I hope everybody has a great night. And
thank you everybody for tuning in. Give us a like, a follow on Facebook, Hill City Paranormal, and HCP, the initials HCP Paranormal Podcast airs every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow, we are going to be welcoming on our show the Haunting Angels back for part 2. And I know they just went to Pennhurst, so I can't wait to hear all about it.
Oh, wow. That's going to be fun.
Yes. So thank you for inviting us on our show. Always a pleasure.
Always a good time on here. We love this show.
Yes. And thanks everybody again for tuning in.
Love you too, guys, too. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, we'll have to come out for
Yeah.
Have a great night.
Come on.
Come on.
Have a good night.